welcome. And here we go.
Okay, welcome everybody to this evening. And I want to begin by thanking our dear friends Ron and Tony for all the beautiful work they're doing in this community and all these years, helping people, supporting people on the path. And also our friend Eric, who is taking care of all the tech stuff, which is very daunting. So it all depends on him in a way. What I want to do tonight is give a different kind of talk than all the times before. And the reason behind this is that several people that we've worked with in the past have asked us to, us being my wife Gabi and I, have asked us to elaborate a little more on the health protocols that we personally observe and that I've done a lot of research into over the past years. And so this is going to be a hands-on approach. It's basically very different from all the other talks that we did before, where it's a lot about medicines and general healing and therapeutic issues. This is very much about the body, medical information. It's a very straightforward talk in the sense of, if you want to accomplish this goal, do this, right? So in a sense, if you will, directive. And you don't have to take notes. There'll be a 3-page thing that you'll all be able to download after this if you want to pursue this further. And let's just begin by reminding ourselves of this miracle of the human body that we have. The eyes, the ears, the senses, the feet that carry us, and take a moment to honor the miracle of it, and also realize we've been inhabiting this body as spirit beings for many, many years. In a sense, it's the temple. And so we want to make sure that the temple is happy, healthy, fresh air blowing through it, good prayers coming from it, and so forth. And so tonight we want to look into how can we best support the body. And I'm going to start off with a really provocative statement that's being repeated many times in this alternative branch of medicine. What these people are talking about, and most of you have probably heard this, is the following statement: aging is a disease. Now, that is a bit crazy, the way it sounds. What they really mean to say is many of the symptoms that we experience when we get beyond 50, beyond 60, beyond 70, that used to be considered regular and pretty much unavoidable signs of aging, are now considered to be just that, diseases, which means they are avoidable. And a lot of these symptoms have to do with processes of inflammation, weakening of the immune system, weakening of genetic information as cells divide, and we'll get into that in more detail. One other thing to begin with that is precious to remind ourselves of is the difference between lifespan and health span. Lifespan is just the number of years I have. This may be 70, 80, 90, but I may start suffering from pretty serious symptoms at age 60 already. And so if I live to be 90, then 30 years could be spent in frailty or in depression or in lack of general stamina. Or if we talk about health span, I can live 90 years and have 85 years of very healthy, vigorous, of a very healthy and vigorous life. And that's what we want to get into in a little more detail in a very hands-on way. And to just mention this again, no need to take notes. Yeah, it'll be concise so that after we went through this, we'll have time to discuss questions that are of interest or talk about anything that came up for you as we went through this material. Okay, so we should start with slide 1. And I'm just gonna, so I'm gonna disappear from the screen. You don't need to see me. It's gonna be a regular Keynote PowerPoint thing, really simple. And you can just follow whatever we're talking about. This is our friend Eric here. I can see Eric now. I think we do have a little bit of a delay in the transmission, but I hope y'all can hear my voice really well. Here we go. Yeah, this is slide 1. So I call this a checklist for your health protocol, the path to healing wellness and immune system strength. And this is the simple and direct what to do version. So it's going to tell you just what steps to take in order to pursue these goals. Okay, and we can do the next one. So obviously I want to start out with a little disclaimer here. I want to recommend to check with your primary care physician or a doctor, a medical person that you trust before implementing any of the suggestions I'm making below. I also want to mention that I do not represent any of the companies or products I am mentioning in this talk, nor do I receive any financial incentives for recommending products and services. And all of the recommendations that I am making are based on my personal research, 15 years on my personal use of methods, products, and services, as well as on work with many clients. So as you can see, the usual thing, it's not my fault if something goes wrong. You know, we're going to blame somebody else. So tongue in cheek, you understand what I'm trying to say. So here we start with the hands-on information. You want to get a blood test that is much more, I should say, refined than what we usually get. And in order to get this kind of blood test, you go to this webpage, www.lifeextension.com, and you choose a blood test from the menu lab testing. And the test you want to start out with is either the female panel or the male panel. What this blood test will give you is a much more refined and delineated and specific kind of information about where all your levels are regarding organs, regarding hormones, etc. You purchase this blood test on that web page with your credit card, and you will receive what's called a requisition form in your email box. And then you print out the page that says LabCorp core order, bring this page to your lab appointment. So you're going to have your blood drawn and you're going to make an appointment. There's no waiting time. Don't have to sit around for more than a couple of minutes. And you're going to have your blood drawn. And then we can move on. And you're going to find, it's going to be easy to find a LabCorp location somewhere near you. You'll find that on their webpage, labcorp.com, by way of zip code or address. And you go through the schedule and appointment process on their page, and you'll make an appointment for routine lab work. Usually they ask you to come fasting, which means it's a good idea to find something early in the morning so you're not suffering from not eating. You can have water or black coffee, but no milk, no sugar, no snacks, nothing. That's really important so you don't get falsified results. After 3 days, business days, you'll receive the results of your test in your email box. This is a sample of how this thing looks. Yeah? So blood test sample, just one of 4 pages. There are many, many different tests that you can take, very extensive ones. The ones we had talked about, female panel, male panel, that's about 4 pages. So let's just take a quick look here at the very first line, glucose. This is a major, major factor. It tells us about, is there any propensity to develop diabetes, for example? Well, if you go all the way to the far right, you have the number 65 to 99. That's the range. You want to be somewhere in between that range, and this blood test will tell you if you are or not. This is a sample from somebody none of us know. It's not mine. It's not anyone I know. So just to give you a view of what this looks like. So to set this off against your regular blood testing at Kaiser's or anywhere else, without wanting to, talk dismissively about any of these institutions, they oftentimes don't tell you what that is, and they'll only do something and they'll only intervene if this is way off range. But they usually do not observe over the annual testing whether we develop a curve. For example, if over the past 5 years your glucose has gone up. And this is a really important issue, because what this functional or alternative medicine does is it'll act prophylactically. So it'll intervene with plant-based supplements that don't have side effects before you actually develop any pre-diabetic conditions. Once you have pre-diabetes or diabetes, they'll treat you with pharmaceutical medication, which is not necessarily bad. But with these blood tests, you'll find out before, and you can counteract any tendencies before. So if you move down the list, you see all kinds of other data there. Much of this is about the kidneys. So for example, if you go to your BUN or your creatinine or your flow rate, the EGFR, that's all kidney related. And so again, on the right-hand side, you can see the ranges where we ideally want to be. And this is just a sample, so there's much more that would be too much to go through tonight. So you can see that you can basically read this thing yourself. And as you read more about it, you gain knowledge and an understanding of how to work with this. So once you have your results in your email box, you can print that out or look at it on the screen. And it's a good idea to get a consultation. Life Extension, the company I've been working with, for about 15 years now, offer a 30-minute free consultation. So once you have your blood test results, you can call this number and request a wellness specialist. These people are very well trained. They're not physicians, they're not medical doctors. But oftentimes they know, and no insult meant against the medical profession here, they know quite a bit more about this branch of medicine than the regular mainstream medical person would. Another option is to speak about the results with your primary care physician, provided she has training in these expanded testing methods. Many doctors do not. And actually, what happens, unfortunately, many times is that if you go into this level of prophylactic kind of medicine, then some physicians will laugh it off, they will ridicule it, they will talk about all these supplements that are worth taking being just quote unquote expensive urine, meaning to say that they don't do anything. We have enough science and research to disprove that. So, excuse me, we want to make sure that you work with a medical professional that is trained in these methods. To find a physician who has this kind of training is fairly easy. There's the web page, again, Life Extension, a company I deeply trust because I've been working with them for many years. And there's a list of physicians that you can look at in your state, in your location, and contact them to get a consultation. Once you have your results and once you talk with a trained physician or anyone that you trust in this method, it is probably going to be recommendable to start on a regimen of supplements to take proactive action against avoidable diseases. So this phrasing is quite essential, proactive action against avoidable diseases. This is different from what mainstream medical services do. Usually we go and see a doctor when something hurts or when something doesn't work anymore in our bodies. This is quite different here. We do these blood tests to get a sense of if we are approaching the possibility of that happening. That's why we take proactive action. So if we go back to the example of glucose, which is one of the major things, too much sugar, too much starch in our foods, obesity, these types of things, high blood pressure and pre-diabetic conditions. We want to catch these figures early on, and if we discover over, say, 2-3 years that the curve is moving upwards, we want to counteract this before we actually develop a diabetes or any kinds of diseases. So all these supplements that help are plant-based. They are not pharmaceutical drugs in the sense of chemical drugs that are foreign to the body. They are plant-based. They don't have side effects, and they take you where you want to go over time. A basic regimen recommendable for everyone after age 35, these are things that most of you will have heard of, or a matter of fact, probably everyone. And this is regardless of your individual blood test results. You should definitely take some sort of multivitamin. You have heard about vitamin D3, the lack of sun on our skins, or needing to be cautious with sunlight on our skins. Usually we want our vitamin D3 to be somewhere between 60 and 80. This is a figure that the WHO does not recommend yet, but research has shown that 60 to 80 is good. You don't have to know what that means in detail right now. You'll find out with the blood tests. We want some omega-3 fish oil to balance out against the other fats in our body. We want curcumin to protect the colon and our joints. We will also want optimized broccoli and cruciferous blend, which helps with avoiding cancerous tissue in the colon. It's actually even both of these, curcumin and broccoli, have been proven to be able to reduce not only precancerous tissue, but even the so-called adenoma, the little mushrooms that can grow inside your colon. This is a medical sensation. Nothing is able, unless you get a colonoscopy and have these things cut off, to actually reduce these growths inside the colon. And you definitely want to take some coenzyme Q10. In addition to these general supplements, the consultation that you will receive from a knowledgeable physician will result in individualized recommendations, and you're going to end up popping a lot of pills. So it's a bit weird at times that every day or maybe even twice a day you will be taking a handful of supplements. But think about it this way. Rather than getting into any real diseases where your body suffers and then taking something that kicks in like a drug and is very aggressive in your body and burdens your liver and your kidneys with the side products and you feel side effects, why not a couple of years before get into eating these things and developing a routine every day? And if you can't swallow a lot of pills at one time, take a little bit of food, relax, make it a meditation. It works. So now we're going to get into a level that's quite a bit deeper, the endocrinological system, or your hormones. Your blood test results will show the levels of major hormones. If there are low levels, and this is for pretty much each one of us, they're slightly off, or when we're older, they might be a little more off, it is well worth to consider BHRT, which is short for Bio-dentical hormone replacement therapy. This is a big deal. Think about women who have gone through menopause and who are experiencing mood shifts or changes in the body that they want to get control over. The mainstream medical model is to treat these conditions with hormones that are taken from horses, pre-marin, and so forth. These non-bioidentical hormones have been shown to be a cause of various forms of cancer. We are now at a medical level of knowledge where we can avoid that and instead use bioidentical hormones. Bioidentical means they are molecularly identical to what your body is used to. There are no side effects, they are not cancer causing, they are supportive for your body, and the goal of using BHRT is to bring back youthful levels of hormones to avoid future diseases, to avoid depression, to help your body feel energetic, to help your sleep, and so forth. As this process is an intervention into the endocrinological system of the body, it cannot and should not be done without collaborating with a physician trained in BHRT. So as before, we want to make sure that this is a person who is not ridiculing these methods or has never heard about them, but someone who has done their work in it, has been trained. And this is additional training. It does not come with the regular medical training that doctors get. You can find a physician trained in BHRT by calling LEF, Life Extension Foundation, or doing a search at, again, the same link as before, Innovative Doctors, and they will find the source of energy down there. If you look at the cartoon, they dig deeper using the blood test, using their knowledge, and your doctor will, if recommendable, prescribe a hormone preparation that is custom tailored to your very individual personal needs. It's not a general dosing of hormones that is for everybody, but it's strictly for you, and it ties directly into the results of your personal blood test. So now we're getting to the tough part, and this all depends on what do I want, and how much do I want, and how fast do I want it. We have to reflect on our eating habits. If we want to lose weight or burn fat and generally feel more energized, it's very simple to do if we can implement some discipline by combining 3 simple methods which will bring very fast results. One is calorie restriction. For example, an average 120-pound person needs around 2,000 calories per day. If that person reduces these calories per day to 1,500, that'll be an extremely effective method to burn fat, gain energy, and feel better. Lose weight if you want that. Second method is what's called intermittent fasting. Having a late breakfast, having an early dinner, and leaving you fasting for 17 hours. 14 hours will already be quite good. If you want to eat a little earlier, have dinner at 6, fine too. The more you can extend that phase, the more effective, the faster you will see effects on your body. Even without exercise, you will see your waistline become more appreciable in the mirror if you want that. The optics aren't even that exciting. What is most exciting is the way you feel. So if we're talking about breakfast, I mean, we're used to having our breakfast at a certain time. Reflect on that. Wait until you're really hungry, then eat a little until you feel not hungry anymore. Eat slowly. The best way to trick the stomach into feeling satiated is hard-boiled eggs. Eat one or two, they'll keep for a long time. And then don't snack in between, especially no starchy, sugary things, no soda pop, I'm sorry. And have your early dinner and don't overeat. And then after dinner, don't eat anymore. Go to bed with an empty stomach. You'll sleep better. You'll wake up energized with a fresh head. And maybe you can extend beyond 14 hours. Number 3, C, is carbohydrate reduction, avoiding all sugars. And this is serious in many parts of the industrialized world. Read the labels. Everything contains sugar nowadays. And differentiate between natural sugar, like in juice, and added sugar. Really look at the labels. You'll find that things like pickles or goat cheese or the weirdest things contain sugar. Leave those out. Avoid starch, rice, pasta, bread, potatoes. This is tough. This is tough. And this is the worst information here that I'm going to give you. I didn't want to write this down because it's too shocking. No tortilla chips. I'm sorry. They are so good. I can't let them go. But this is a decision. What do you want? What do I want? Right? So what happens in the body, your metabolism will change. For a couple of weeks, you'll have a craving for these things. If you are adamant about reaching the goals and you stay with avoiding starch-based foods and avoiding sugars, your metabolism will change dramatically. The craving will disappear over time, and you'll see something happening in your body that you're really going to like. So the basic way to change your eating habits is follow what's called the Mediterranean diet or nutrition. It's not actually a diet. It's not like you have to let go of things you love. But Mediterranean nutrition means lean meats, lots of fish. Please do not get farmed salmon. Spend the extra money and get wild-caught salmon. Farmed salmon is full of antibiotics and all kinds of growth hormones that deeply, deeply harm your body if you eat this over a long time. Do spend the extra money. Let go of the next pair of shoes or whatever it takes. Do get wild-caught salmon, please. Get organic vegetables, get organic fruit, nuts, and here's a good one, red wine. Seriously. Yeah? 1-2 glasses of red wine. Yes. You all have heard about the resveratrol in the red wine. It helps the body, helps the blood, helps the cardiovascular system, really good. Point 3, get grass-fed dairy products. Grass-fed means no grain, no altering of the hormones. Get grass-fed organic meats, organic vegetables. Do spend the extra money. Number 4, beverages. Drop all pop soda. Please do it. Load it with sugar, in bad cases even with what's called high fructose corn syrup, known to destroy the neural system in the brain over time. No pop soda, no sugar. Drink spring water, green tea, black tea, coffee, and wine. If it is me, add a little milk to your coffee or your tea, or even some half and half, that's fine, but use the organic stuff. Eat good fats, extra virgin olive oil, avocados, nut butters. Avoid saturated fats, corn oil, coconut fat, deep fried food. It tastes good, I know, but remember how you feel afterwards. You follow this craving, it tastes so good, and then the rest of the day, nah, it doesn't work. Too lazy to do this, too full to do this. Check out how your body can feel if you change this, even if you just commit to it for just a couple of months. You can always go back to corn chips or to whatever you love. It's fine. Next one that's really important. Even without exercising, you'll be watching, if you pursue what we talked about so far with discipline, even without exercise, you'll notice amazing changes in your body within sometimes a few weeks, some other people a couple of months, but astonishingly fast. You want to accompany this with your exercise regimen. Before you begin any regular exercise regimen, and especially if you're over 50 years of age, of course, you want to do the routine. You want to talk with your family physician and check out if there's any family history of cardiac events. You want to get your blood pressure. It should ideally be around 120 to 80, over 80, systolic, diastolic. And you want to get your resting heart rate. This is in the morning when you get up, before you start moving around. You get your watch or stopwatch and you measure your heart rate for a minute, and it should ideally be around 70 beats per minute or lower. If you have this consistently, you are heart healthy and you're good to go. What we want to ideally have happen is a combination of aerobic exercise and resistance training. Aerobic exercise means you get your pulse up. Every second or third day, get your pulse rate up to where you can still talk, but where you breathe deeply. For people between 50 and 70 years of age, this is usually around 130 to 150 beats per minute. This is the ideal training window. And you always just also listen to your body simply. It's going to tell you even more than the numbers. And there's going to be days when there's going to be lead in your feet, so you take it slow. This just happens to all of us. And there's other days, and even if you're 80, you're going to feel like you're flying. Go for it. Beautiful. And there's all these wonderful devices like Fitbit or Apple Watch or whatever supports these measurements. And they're actually quite good nowadays if you want to work with these devices. Do check on that with your primary care physician. Exercise regularly. Regularly means every other day or every third day at the latest. Don't find any excuses like weather. It's amazing to run in the rain. When you're in the house and you see the rain, it's like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't know about the weather. If you go out there, have the right clothes, and you run in the rain, and these little drops tickle your face, and you run uphill and downhill, and you get back home, the whole day will be totally different. You'll feel energized, invigorated. It'll be beautiful. The other one, and this is all science. This is not something that people just make up for narcissistic reasons so they get bigger muscles. Science tells us that resistance training every 48 to 72 hours is good to keep your body in shape, to keep your hormones flowing and in good shape. And you can either use your body, for example, push-ups, sit-ups, or yoga exercises and so forth, or you can use weights, whichever you prefer. It's important to warm up and stretch and then start working with about 60% of the maximum weight you can lift if you like to work with weights. This 60% of the maximum makes sure that you don't overstrain your muscles and that you recover within 48 to 72 hours. And then you will increase your strength quite quickly. This is a funny one. Sarcopenia, that's a very nasty term. It comes from Greek language and literally means loss of flesh. In modern alternative medicine, what is meant by sarcopenia is what happens to all of us beyond age 35. Without doing anything, there's a natural process of increasing body fat and losing muscle. This is really nasty. And once we get promoted to the higher realms, we're going to have to complain about that to the Creator and all the goddesses and say, this doesn't work, for me. I don't want this to happen. I want this to stay the same. On planet Earth, unfortunately, it doesn't. So medical research tells us that the process of maintaining and increasing body fat with age, while at the same time increasingly losing muscle tissue. So we have to, encounter that and counteract that. In other words, mere aging includes automatically losing muscle, gaining fat, even if we maintain our body weight. Even if we maintain our body weight. It's always impressive if people can maintain their body weight throughout the aging process, but this is really what happens. The interesting thing here is that in this modern alternative medicine, in this particular perspective on medical processes, body fat has been identified as a creator of all kinds of inflammatory processes and disease. So it's a good idea to keep watching our body fat, and modern scales will do that. They'll tell you not only your general weight, but your body fat and body water and so forth. And you want to avoid this sarcopenia by adhering to all the above mentioned factors: exercise, nutrition, blood testing, supplementing, and all these things that we're going to talk about here on after. This is for men, and this is not to say that women don't like a six-pack either. Many of them may. But it's sort of more the narcissistic and us guys who want to show off. So if you want your six-pack back, then add a supplement that's called HMB to your regimen. Increase your protein intake by using whey protein isolate, not concentrate. You want to make a difference between that. The isolate concentrate, the isolate, whey protein isolate, contains a lot more protein than the concentrate. Look at the ingredients, make sure there's no sugar in there, no weird additives, and take about 1,000 or even 2,000 of HMB every day. This only helps if you also regularly exercise and work your body. But it's quite amazing how both of these will bring back your six-pack if you like that. Again, it's not so much about the looks, it's more about the way you feel, which is spectacular. This is a deeper one, and it starts shifting over into questions around the immune system. Fix your gut, which means make sure your digestion, your bowel movements, all of that is going well. And we got to talk about some things that are very, very I want to say, dominant in industrial cultures. And that has to do with pharmaceutical medication, especially antibiotics. Avoid, and this is going to sound radical, but if you look into it and do your own reading and your own research, you'll find plenty of information about this. Avoid all or most pharmaceutical medication unless they are absolutely necessary. Most compromise the gut flora, which means most pharmaceutical medications do a number on the health of your gut and on digestions, on the digestive process. Most of these pharmaceutical medications can be replaced by plant-based supplements that are more effective and have no side effects. Avoid antibiotics unless absolutely necessary. This world, our food, our meats, our fish, our water, our rivers, our oceans are flooded with antibiotics. Flooded. Antibiotics, especially repeated and long-term use, will destroy the bacterial milieu of your gut. They will cause indigestions. They will screw up your gut flora. And over time, they will seriously impact your immune system strength. Be aware, please, of the side effects that any pharmaceutical medications have, especially antibiotics. Fix Your Gut, page 2. If you are familiar with depressed moods, mood shifts, all of us are, mainstream medicine will prescribe pharmaceutical antidepressants. Avoid them. Work through the process, please. Look at what gets you down. There are reasons. The mood shifts that we experience are healthy expressions of our souls. Our souls want to tell us something. If we listen to that, then we may be in for a difficult ride for a while to work through this, but these things will heal. Pharmaceutical antidepressants, they don't heal you. They don't collaborate with you. They kick in like a drug and create a fake equilibrium in your neurotransmitter system in your brain. They will create a fake kind of happiness, and they will cut you off from all feelings. Most of these pharmaceutical antidepressants don't work. They screw up your gut. They make you gain weight, make you lose your libido, and keep you from feeling anything. We have enough proof, enough research, enough publications out there now to know that these things can be replaced with plant-based supplements that are more effective and have no side effects. The only exception where pharmaceutical antidepressants can sometimes be helpful is if a person is suicidal and if they have to stay functional in terms of family and professional obligations, to then take these things for a short while to circumvent the peak of the crisis and then taper them off and then go into processing what is behind the mood shift or the depression or the post-traumatic stress disorder. If you want to find out more about where you stand in terms of your happy hormones in the brain, the main neurotransmitters such as serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, and so forth, you can get a neurotransmitter panel test at the link below, and we'll look at how this thing looks. This is a sample neurotransmitter panel, the basic test. Again, not a person that any one of us knows. So let's take the top line, serotonin. The result is 48.7 of this particular test. The reference range is between 52 and 155. So right here, we have a person that is definitely on the low end of serotonin. And so we can already tell this person is probably not going to feel a general sense of contentment with life and happiness, especially if some other factors should turn out to be on the low end too. Now, if we go down to dopamine, it's at 75.2. The range is 95 to 275. Low on dopamine, one lower norepinephrine, 13.4. Range over on the right, 15 to 78. Three of the main neurotransmitters are on the way low end. No way this person is really going to feel happy in a consistent way, centered, equilibrium, equanimity, meditative. No, that's not possible. So if you show this to a regular psychiatrist, they will come in with a pharmaceutical antidepressant or worse. And then you get these levels up, but you're not going to get the advantages of getting these levels up naturally. So what you want to do is talk it over with a trained physician or psychotherapist or psychiatrist and implement plant-based supplements that have been shown in the research to work better and without side effects compared to pharmaceutical antidepressants. Immune system strength, huge issue nowadays, of course. Let's go back to the basics and outside of what we are currently challenged with. If we fix our guts, if we are happy, if we don't use antibiotics, if we take plant-based immune system support supplements, and if we take measures against immune senescence, I'll say a bit more what that means, we are going to be fine. We can still get sick, but we have a strong immune system that can withstand a whole lot more than all these immune systems that have taken a beating by the overuse of pharmaceutical drugs, especially antibiotics. So we'll wait with this one right here for a bit, and I want to say a little more about immune senescence, a term that means the aging, the weakening of the immune system. There are factors that play a major role. One is our gut, the health of our gut. We know now that much of the immune system sits in our gut. If we screw up our gut, then the immune system is going to be weakened. If we strengthen our gut, the immune system is going to be happy. Then there's a very interesting field of research called psychoneuroimmunology. So a lot of terms there, psyche meaning the soul, neuro meaning the nerves, and immunology is clear. The resistance against the entry of disease agents. And that's why I put down be happy, because now we know that if we're happy, our immune system is going to be stronger. In order to be happy, we have to get our neurotransmitters in balance, which is the neurotransmitter panel. So you can really assess for yourself where you are, and it's a saliva test. And it's not very expensive. You'll find that on the web pages that I quoted earlier. And that'll give you a very clear-cut, simple information where you stand, and then you can intervene in a prophylactic and very healthy, side effect-free way. Let's say you're into all this for half a year, for a year, you start reading, you become really interested in this. Then you might want to check out the farther shores of ecstatic aging. What I mean by that refers to what I talked about in the beginning around the term health span as opposed to lifespan. It is now possible to be vigorous, healthy, and energetic into the 90s. Some people are talking about it'll soon be very easy to be 120 years of age and feel good. Now, whether we want that or not is a different question that we don't want to go into here. But just to realize that this initial motto, aging is a disease, while being radical, is actually indicative of a process in alternative medicine that goes to show that our bodies can go a whole lot longer. That is very, very exciting. So if you're interested in these farther shores, look into BHRT, the thing we mentioned earlier. Understand the concept and talk it through with your doctor. Self-motivate by reading about it. Number 2, look at HGH, human growth hormone. This is a very powerful, effective, and no risk, no side effect addition to all that you are doing above already. And talk that over with your doctor. Third, look at the most recent research in the overall field, specifically at compounds such as NMN, NR, resveratrol, rapamycin, quercetin, senolytics, metformin, dasatinib, etc. Go into those only with your doctor. I rattled these off here because you don't have to remember them. They'll be on the page, on the 3-page thing that you can receive and download later. And please only do this with a trained doctor. And finally, to end things, if this is all Greek to you and if nothing seems to help, then drink ayahuasca, but don't tell anyone that I said this. This is just between me and you. Okay, thank you for listening. This was a lot of information. I know, I hope you were able to stay awake through this. If not, no problem. The talk will be on YouTube and there'll be the 3-page download. And I'm going to stop here and let's make some room for any questions that you may have or any criticism.